Hey everyone, what you just saw was a little preview of a game that I've been working on. Since this is my first ever devlog, I have quite a few things that I want to go through. To make it easier, I have broken the video up into different sections that goes into an introduction of myself, about the game, current progress, and future goals. So feel free to click on the timestamps below. So before I even started to develop games, I started off drawing for fun. I had no idea what I wanted to do. All I knew is that I wanted to draw all the time. Art is probably one of the only things in life that I feel like I'm not bad at and comes more naturally to me than other subjects. I usually like to use soft and light colors for my artworks. And I like to add a touch of fantasy sprinkled around, like adding plants where they probably wouldn't grow from, but look fitting anyways. Through my art, I hope to capture a moment of peace and give a sense of ease to those that are viewing it. One of the artists that really inspire me is Hidari. When I first saw his art being used in Fire Emblem Echoes, I was amazed how he perfectly blends the style of old and new together, giving each illustration a timeless feeling. I also love Yuko Yufushi's art because they masterfully utilize watercolor, making a lot of their pieces look gentle and light. Alongside doing art, I played a lot of games growing up. Games taught me so much and brought me so many fun memories. So I've compiled a few games that I feel like really shaped what type of games I hope to create in the future, which are Harvest Moon DS, The Legend of Zelda and the Twilight Princess, Pokémon Dungeon Explorers of Time, Fire Emblem Echoes, and Super Smash Bros. You could ask me anything about these games and I could gush to you about them for hours on why I find them amazing to play. Like, playing Super Smash Bros. Even inspired me to go to tournaments. Doesn't mean I performed well in them, but it did inspire me to go. So if any of these games are your classics, you have impeccable taste. So why did I pick up games development? At first, I thought it was impossible to make games, but I met a very good friend in high school where he told me he was making his own game at home. The thought of making my own game was crazy to me, and I got extremely excited talking to him, and I told him how I used to dream about making my own farming simulator, and that when I was younger, I created paper models of the characters and little houses where I would have them walk around and I would make my own cutscenes. And I believe games are the perfect medium to exercise logic and art. And it's just damn cool. Like, come on, what other medium allows you to walk through the world that is being created and experienced so interactively? Games are amazing. With that said, I want to create games that really touches people's heart and teach them something that they can carry into their lives forever, whether it was the impactful experience of playing the game itself or the message behind it. One thing that's really important to me is that I really want to incorporate little visual elements throughout my game and make them feel a little bit more alive and special. Like, I'll never get sick of turning into little black squares teleporting from different locations in Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, or seeing the light rays peek through the ceiling in Omori. This game is called Caddie's Tea Service. Caddie hasn't been created in the game yet, however they will be an important character for the story. So this game is a tea cooking simulator with a unique spin, where the player will need to use creative techniques which may require a little bit of combat in order to make the teas. The main character, named Faye, has a sister who develops a rare illness, leaving her bedridden. Faye searches throughout his village for support, but no one knows how to cure it. Throughout a sequence of events, Faye eventually finds a tea master who knows a cure, however does not have all the ingredients needed for the remedy. The tea master offers Faye a contract that requires him to work under her authority, where she has a tea service on a train that travels to different locations across the world. By going to these different places, Faye will be able to gather the ingredients he needs to create a cure for his sister. Welcome to Caddie's Tea Service. Right now we are on the train, traveling far away from home. Now is the perfect time for me to introduce where you'll be spending most of your time inside the game, which is in this kitchen. Since we have now been assigned as the primary tea maker of this service, we will need to use this kitchen to make our teas. This is also the main character you will be playing as, named Faye currently, but I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with this name, so I hope you get familiar with him over these devlogs. As you can see so far, there are many bits and bobs around here that have different purposes. So I'll start off with the side on the right, which currently has 3 pots full of ingredients. If you press Z in front of the pot, you'll be able to pick up the ingredient This one's definitely my favorite ingredient because I like its shape. Reminds me of a starfish. You can press Z to return the ingredient, and Z will be used for all of the interaction buttons. So if you're wondering what I'm pressing when I do something, I'm pressing Z. You can also place these ingredients down on different surfaces in the level, and I have quite a few countertops sprinkled along the level because I want the player to be able to quickly pick up and place items down. This is because there will be quite a few moments where the player will need to free up their hands in order to deal with the obstacles that they are faced with. I know I'm being quite vague on these so-called obstacles, but they will definitely be more prevalent in the next devlog. And now moving down to the bottom, there is this teapot stand, and yes, you might be thinking it is a little bit cluttered, but you will need as many teapots as you can to serve all of your customers. You might be thinking, glass teapots? Well, don't worry, they're double-walled with heat resistance technology, so they won't shatter if you use them. I decided to go with this stylish, sleek, modern design, not because I wanted to exactly, but because I wanted the tea's recipe color to show through, so you could distinguish the different teas that you make. Speaking of making tea, there are these two large kettles in the center of the room. This will be our primary tool to make the teas, but first we'll need a water base to hold all our ingredients. So if we go down and grab the water bucket, we can grab some water from the water well, and as you can see, the water pumper refills the bucket up, allowing us to get some more water for next time. Now that we've got our water, you can pour it inside the kettle and the cooking will now be activated. As you can see, there are two countdown bars. In the first one, you can put in as many ingredients as you like. But once that bar is finished and it gets to the second one, you will no longer be able to put in ingredients and your brew will be complete. However, if the bar fully depletes, the tea will be burnt and your ingredients will be wasted. Let's do it together now. First, put the water in. Add an ingredient. I want to make a star anise tea, so I'm going to put this one in. In preparation, I'm going to get the teapot and wait for the tea to finish brewing. Now that it's finished brewing, I'm going to collect the tea. So once you've got the tea, you've got to serve it to the customer. So I'm going to bring it over to this box. And now you leave the tea in this box to be served by Caddie the waiter, the character that hasn't been introduced yet. So let's go to another timeline where we failed to cook the tea. Now that the overcooking timer has been depleted, our tea is now burnt. And if you're a sane person, you won't serve this. But if your side hobby is poisoning people, you can go ahead and serve it. But don't blame me when the tea master comes knocking at your door and whooping your ass. I'm here to teach you good habits on your first day as a tea maker. So as a responsible person, grab your bucket and collect the burnt tea. Then you can bring it to the drainage and discard it forever. You may also use this drainage to discard a bucket of water if you want to get rid of the water that you've collected from the water well. However, I think this method of discarding the water is a bit lame. So I want to show you my favorite part of the game. If you watched my About Me section, you will know that I said I want to add a little fun detail into the worlds I create, and this is one of them. So if you get your bucket and you grab the water and then you realize you don't want the water anymore, you can just chuck it back into the water well. Look at it in all its glory. The water is filled to the tippity top. It's so satisfying to stare at. Like, this is such an unnecessary thing to have, but I feel like it just makes the world feel a little bit more loved. This is the kind of stuff I want to see in my games, and I have all of the power in the world to make any useless thing I want because it makes me happy. Like, to me, this is a love letter from a game developer to their players. You can thank me later. And I think that this is a very high note to end off the gameplay showcase on. I have made a list of some other objectives that I hope to accomplish in the future. Creating the obstacles for players to face in the kitchen to add more difficulty, other kitchen utensils to cook with, adding customers in to eat the food, create Caddie the waiter to serve the food, allow players to talk to other characters, create dialogue boxes and portrait art, create dining room and bedroom on the train, create different locations with different seasons that the train can travel to, which will impact the ambience of the train and even some items in the room. So like to say winter could have a fireplace, example. This is so we can make the train more accustomed to each location and really change up the feeling of the train. And that is all I'll say for now. I will need to keep some cards to myself, but over time I will reveal more bits and pieces of the game. So this was the end of my devlog. I am quite new to devlogs and I didn't go too into detail about the programming aspect, but I focus a lot more on the showcasing side of things. Please let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to improve on or dive deeper into. I can always change the style of these devlogs based on your feedback. In the future, I will expand a lot more on cool creative cooking mechanics now that I have the basis done for the cooking simulator portion of the game. If you guys have any suggestions for different names for the game, you can leave them down below and it will be greatly appreciated, or if you like the name already, please let me know as well. Thanks for watching.